to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane. Starring Ryan Rash.
Guilt seeks strange forms, and water seeks its own level.
And Dale Hummel.
In the words of Joe Biden, those people will pay.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Well, Ryan's spending time this week in his summer home.
I am at my 10th.
You are. Ohio
final.
Loves the glamour of the gay.
10th and final Ohio County Fair for 2021 is this week. So we're going out with a bang, Brown County.
And what do you get to do tonight? What is the highlight of this one?
I am judging the King and Queen pageant of the county fair tonight.
If I would have known that, I would have gotten there somehow. I would have liked to at least been present, maybe even assisted you.
I'm excited about doing it, but I have no idea. Like I don't know what the criteria is. I'm assuming they're going to inform me later. It has been a little rocky for me. I judged the Oklahoma State Fair this weekend, the goat show, and it was very impressive market weather show. It was an amazing doe show on Sunday. I mean, just like, wow, good. And everything's going right, and glitter's flying, and birds are chirping, and Dale had been happy there had been rainbows and butterflies and all this lovely stuff. Get to the airport. I've got plenty of time. Check my bags, go through security. Everything is great. I'm getting my stuff out of the tray from security. I get a text message that my plane has been delayed an hour and 10 minutes. That ruins my connection to get to Cincinnati. There is no rescheduling on United. So I go and I buy another plane ticket on Delta to get me to Cincinnati last night. It lands at 11:57. All the rental car companies are shut down. I took a taxi from the airport to the hotel. I got here at 1 o'clock. I slept about 2 hours, got dressed, got ready, took an Uber, a very expensive Uber. Dale would have had a heart attack. Back to the rental car place, got me a rental car, drove and did the market guilt show this morning and showmanship. Going back for the pageant, and I'm here till Friday when I go to Florida to meet Dale.
Are you not so excited about our weekend in Florida?
Yeah, because it's going to be great because we're going to die in a hurricane, and that's what you're excited about.
As long as I'm in a safe place, I don't wish a hurricane upon anybody, but I've never experienced one.
Well, get ready.
And we get to sort cattle in the same ring as one. Isn't that exciting?
No, because it is going to be
it'll be the biggest argument ever.
And literally, I hope there's only 3 head there because it will take 3 hours.
I'm so looking forward to it. This is good. There's a few other things going on in the world, but before,
I wish I knew. I know. I don't.
I just caught up on some this morning, but there is a question that I know our listeners want to know.
What?
So you're rebooking a flight basically hours before you have to take it.
Yeah.
And airfare, I've checked. It's not the cheapest at the moment.
We're not going to talk about it.
Was it first class?
We're not going to talk about it.
Was it first class?
We're not going to discuss
All right.
this.
How much did it cost to book a first class ticket last minute?
It was not cheap.
Okay, fair enough. We can leave it at that.
And by the way, this is not getting charged to the county fair. I gave them an estimate of my expenses long before, so I don't want people to think that whatever. And no, and when I give estimates of expenses, I do not charge county fairs or any show for first class plane tickets. I do economy ones, and then I whatever.
And then you lose the most money by doing it.
That is not the point. I do not want these people thinking that I am charging these shows for first-class travel accommodations, Dale. This is how rumors get started.
That is very, and I could take credit for this one.
Yeah, you'd be the most happy because you love it when people get angry and talk shit about me.
And last week's episode didn't even generate hardly any hate mail for you. Wasn't that interesting?
I don't. I got lots of compliments on the things that I said. So
I survived. I think what we went through, but it was good. There's some things going on with the horse patrol. I hear.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, I have been a little busy, and so I haven't got to watch the news as much as I like. especially since it's getting closer to November. And me and this midterm election, it will consume me over the next year once November starts. But Biden and Camel Toe, they haven't visited the border a lot and all this other stuff. They do not need to now, ever.
Oh, they may, but I Ryan, there's no question in my mind. This ignoring of it is absolute intentional, and they want this great migration to happen. And there's in that wrapped up in that now it's over a $5 trillion spending bill. Wrapped up in there was something like $100 billion set in play to help get these illegal migrants ready to vote by 2024. It's not a good course we're taking. What about Biden being the judge and jury on these horse patrol by looking at a picture? He's already
that's what I'm saying. He does not need to go to the border.
Yes, I'm okay with it.
I think he will find out what getting whipped by a split rein is if he ends up. They will prove it to him. But
and Abbott, if they lose their job over this, since he came out and said they will pay those border patrol, Biden says those border patrol agents will pay. What a statement to make as a president when they're out there doing their job, and he's
the unifier.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Abbott
did make the statement he will hire those people if they get fired through the Biden administration.
Because Abbott is going to get reelected. That's just all.
And you would have told us a year ago that was not happening.
I told you there's no way in hell.
You were wrong.
I was wrong, and I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. It's not often, but that man is going to get reelected by a landslide.
They interviewed the photographer that took these pictures of the split rein whipping.
Yeah.
And he's saying that there was no agent whipping anyone. It's just amazing how the left wing in Washington is so against these Border Patrol agents.
That whole, I know you explained this last week or whatever, but I personally believe that you are not giving enough credence to the theory that someone is paying for these people to get to the Del Rio location.
Maybe some of them, but I mean, a lot of them were. I mean, there's no question they're already in Brazil and Chile for sure. The bulk of them, but maybe some of them. But there's 10,000 Haitian migrants in southern Mexico right now trying to get their paperwork so they can get through Mexico. And they're very open that they're trying to get to the United States because they have their Biden chameleon T-shirts on, and it's unbelievable that they're creating these people to leave whatever homes they made in South America or leaving Haiti or whatever to chase this falsehood. And I don't know it is. I think of that animal migration in Africa that you hear about or see on TV. The sad part is these are real people, not animals, and this is not a good situation.
I do not.
What do they do when they? I don't know.
The inhumanity of the situation in Del Rio right now is the thing that I think is getting lost on all of this. I mean, even no matter what side, it's like last week it was in the hundreds. I mean, that is no way for people to be and live and all this other stuff. And there's nothing that can be done, but no one is focusing on the fact that no human being should have to go through what they're going through.
And just imagine the trip to get there.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to get me.
What about the inhumanity now? We're talking about it. The focus is now on reins being used to get illegal migrants back on the side of the border they came from. That's where they're calling inhumanity when we have people living in these camps that we see pictures of every day. And the Biden and Chameleon say nothing about that.
I just don't know how many crises one administration can have in 9 months. They've got to set a record.
It is. It's sad. And there are many good people mixed in with the worst people on the planet that are trying to get into the U.S. right now. And some of those people, I have no doubt, are very good people. But I also know amongst that and undercover of just that down the river or wherever, we're allowing the worst of the worst to come in by the dry. Just I can't even imagine how many are coming. It's a frightening situation.
And we are 8 months into this man's presidency.
Yep. How many crises are we dealing with at the moment?
4 right now, currently. We've got immigration. We've got foreign policy. The economy is just screwed up. And
no inflation.
And Rona is just a mess. And so, yeah, we've got 4. And
speaking of Rona being a mess, the mandate for the healthcare workers, 10 to 15% of them are considering leaving their jobs. And right now we need every healthcare worker we can get. And they're going to mandate they get vaccinated when they're obviously fairly educated on whether they want to or not get vaccinated. It's amazing to me. Nobody, natural immunity. Do you hear that from the CDC? Do you hear anybody talking about the statistics or giving you any information on those that have had COVID having natural immunity? So maybe we don't need to revaccinate them. Or vaccinate them to begin with.
I do not claim to be the most intelligent human being on the planet by any means, but common sense tells you that if you are in an economic crisis where no one is working and everyone in every industry across the board, they all need workers and employees, you do not make it more difficult to hire people.
Oh, and we've done that. I heard just a little bit ago.
How is that not common sense?
It is. I believe that they're intentionally making the wrong decisions for some bigger purpose, and I don't know what it is because they can't be that ignorant. They just can't.
And this is another thing. I mean, that is common sense. When you need people to work, you're supposed to make it easier for people to get jobs, not mandates and harder. Here's the other thing that no one's talking about, because I personally think all this stuff that they're trying to get past, that's why we have all these split rain whipping processes and all these other things to deflect. Bottom line here, when you tax the wealthy, they raise the prices on the poor. I'm just going to put that out there, people.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about the costs are going to get passed on. Period.
Let's just put that out there. Let that marinate, run around in your brains just a little bit. But I promise you, when you tax the wealthy, they increase the prices on the people that can't afford it to begin with.
Did you hear Biden say his $5 trillion plus bill? How did he word it? There is no cost. It really cost. Biden says it really costs nothing.
It costs nothing.
That because he's going to tax the wealthy, tax the corporations, whatever his new wild biggest tax increase in history is. It really costs nothing, he says. This is a spending bill that is beyond anything we've ever looked at before, and we're already $28 trillion in debt right now, and they're going to throw another 5 on it and just like snapping their fingers. And they can do it with the majority they have in the House, Senate, and Biden in the White House. It scares the hell out of me, and he continues to deny that we're paying more now than we were a year ago. Inflation is not happening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. He met with he's meeting with some of the world leaders, and Ryan, after they have those meetings, they usually come down and sit down in maybe the Oval Office. I don't know where their meeting room is, and then they have reporters from each country ask questions. They have Biden on tape explaining that maybe we shouldn't do that and discouraging the other leaders from taking questions because the American press, they're just not on point. They're not on point. Good. And one of them says, well, I'll take some. And he says something like, good luck. It's amazing. It's just right out there in our face, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it.
I did not think that the mainstream media could go any lower or their reputation get any worse or anything. I was wrong.
You were wrong again.
Yeah, I was wrong. These people. And again, right now, I don't even think as bad as it's going to get. Wait till everyone starts ramping up for midterm elections and all this other stuff. Like, I can't even fathom how that's going to be covered.
I don't think it's going to go well, the coverage. I hope that the election goes much better than what the coverage will be.
Hey, they had some big Republican thing in Michigan. Guess who won 48% of the votes is who they want to see as president.
Would that be
at the top of the Republican ticket in 2024?
Maybe once a former president?
Yeah.
You're on.
48%.
That's pretty good. That is pretty darn good.
And DeSantis was 25. But
do you have any more enlightening current events? There's a lot out there, but we're trying to be a little more concise.
I don't know why you want to be concise. You just read too many people's messages, and then you don't want to do current events. I don't read.
No, I love current events. I've been disconnected, kind of like you. So I'm sure there's a lot going on that you and I just missed.
Oh, I know there's. Well, you were at Xarban. I was at Oklahoma State Fair, and then on a plane for 900 years. So yeah, there is a lot that we have missed out on. But at some point, like this is kind of the last multiple stretch thing that I have for the rest of the year. So maybe if I get through this deal, that we can have it Beyond the Circus or something when I'm back at home, except on weekends and Fridays and Thursdays mostly. It's not like I'll be gone for stretches at a time anymore till the end of the year. So that will help things. I'll get to watch more news and do stuff like that. That would be nice to return to normal. But yeah, but we do have big thing. Of course, we're recording this way early, but when y'all hear this, when you hear this lovely little recording, guess what the day will be? Any guesses?
It depends what day they download it.
Okay, well, most people will download it on Friday, and that is the day that you can join your kid up to be a member of the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association. October 1, people, this Friday. All you kids that listen, you go beat on your parents' heads and say, I want to be a member. And
early Halloween, Christmas present, whatever you have to tell them, it'll work. It'll substitute right in.
Right. And they shouldn't take away Christmas or Halloween presents for joining them up. But if that's what you got to lie to them about, do it. But yeah, so on Friday, go to www.btrjla.com, join up, be a member. Point year starts January 1. I know we've had a lot of people asking about sanctioned shows. We have lots of shows sanctioned. We're getting a calendar put together. You don't have to join right now, but you can join October 1st. You can join all the way even in the middle of the point year. So I don't want you to think, people like, I don't know if any shows in my area will be sanctioned. There's going to be shows in your area sanctioned. I promise you that much. But you don't have to join October 1st. We'd like for you to, but you don't have to. You can wait. There will be a whole bunch of shows coming out. One thing that we are running into is a lot of these show series, and I do mean I'm talking like a dozen of them, have meetings in October, and one person can't decide, okay, all of these are going to be sanctioned. So I've got conference calls and phone calls and Zoom meetings all during October with lots of different show series. And once we talk to them and they sign all them up, the calendar will grow leaps and bounds. So everybody, if you've got cold feet, I understand, but there is no reason to get cold feet because we have got lots of people that are anxious, ready, lots of people that are signed up for sanctioned shows. And again, some of them don't even have their dates for 2022 set yet. But there will be shows in your area. Friday's the day that you can start signing up, but you can sign up all throughout the year as well. And while we're talking about the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association, I want to give a shout out to one of our 4 national top 10 jacket sponsors, Ranch House Designs in Wharton, Texas. It's a full-service livestock marketing agency specializing in web design, print design, and much more. Rachel and her team have over 20 years of unwavering commitment to integrity and customer service. They've earned a sterling reputation in this industry, and they love helping their clients share their story in agriculture, and they do it with a great deal of passion. So if you have any needs for that, any marketing needs whatsoever at all, please hit those ladies up at Ranch House Design. They do a great job, and we thank them very much for being one of the 4 top 10 national jacket sponsors.
Yes, thank you, Ranch House, for contributing to something that's going to go directly to the kids. That's awesome. I have another one. I cannot say enough about the support Boxel Manufacturing is putting into this podcast and the BTR JLA, making everything happen and certainly contributing to that. Thank you. I hauled our Boxel double blower out to the Xarban, Ryan. I used it many times. I love it. I mean,
they did not let you blow an animal.
They were running way behind, so I was allowed, I guess is the best way. I was
God,
allowed.
we need better help.
And usually they'll make me go on a single blower so I don't really screw up the hair. But I was on the Boxel double. And that thing is like holding on to a jet engine. It's amazing. So, Mr. Boxel, you've done well. I am also looking forward to the new products that they currently have in research development, Ryan. It's going to be good.
Yeah, he's told us a few things, and like, if those all come out and whatever, it's going to be real interesting because they've got ideas that I never even thought about. And I thought I was pretty creative, but evidently. But no, we do appreciate everyone at Boxel Manufacturing for their support. Again, like I told y'all, you buy a blower, there's going to be a rebate coupon in there for $50. If you'll mail that back to us, he's going to give that money straight to the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association. So he's supporting the podcast. He's supporting the association. We are big fans of Boxel Manufacturing and all they are doing to help support the junior livestock industry.
Are you ready for the main topic?
Yes, I am ready for the main topic.
Let it go, Elsa. Let it go.
I love this topic. It's so good.
Do not dwell on the negative.
Dell did not like this topic at first until I explained it to him.
Because I am the most at fault. I am the most imperfect person out there, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm one of those people that it has to be something like life-altering, earth-shattering for me to hold on to it. I'm not saying that I don't get mad and I don't get upset, and I do, but I literally let it out, and then I'm good.
It's when you're letting it out that I get to hear about it, and you'd think, oh, my.
Yeah, but I mean, normally, there are very few times where I'm going to hold a deep grudge. Now, if you are in that situation with that person, good luck, because you're dead. To me, that's just how it is.
Real nice. That is not the message we're supposed to be conveying today.
But I don't. It's like very, very few times.
Okay.
I'm saying that I am very good at letting things go. I have to be good at letting things go. I've been called everything but a white woman and a child of God multiple times. Okay, so I got to be good at letting stuff go.
Yeah, you would have to evolve at least. So I don't know. I obviously I've allowed negative comments to get to me much more. I've taken them much more personal in the past than what I do now. If it's a personal mistake that I make, something that I am responsible for, I tend to wear that wears on me for a very long time. I have a hard time letting that go. There's still things today that I can't let go. Though there are things. I will never let go of the fact that China is responsible for this pandemic. I will never let go of what the Biden administration has done to this country. That's never. I promise you, I will never forget or forgive that. But we are much better people, and we're going to have much more quality in our life. Let's take this back to the stock show. If we go to a stock show and we think we've got a really good one and we get ourselves beat, it just is what it is, guys. We have to let those things go. And I'm the last person that should be lecturing on this because I've done a lot of things that, and maybe not to the extreme that Ryan has in his personal life, but just about every one of my business ventures, Ryan, I can't explain to you the comments that I've had about how that is crazy. You've lost your mind. Those things I can let go, and obviously don't let them affect me much.
On the stock show take of it all, I think the one thing that I don't want to say forget, but like gets overlooked maybe is a better term. Is a lot of people go to win, want to win, are competitive. It's the most competitive across species it's ever been. And so there's not many people that are just going to have a good time or to participate. People are competitive, and I get it. And I'm one of those people. I've said it on this podcast before, is that I have never gone to a livestock show as a showman, as a supporter, broker involved, or as a judge that I ever went to make friends. I just don't. It is what it is. And whatever my position is, I'm there to do the best that I can in that faculty, and if it offends people, and I move on. But I think regardless of the situation, no matter what happens at every show that we are at or that we attend, we can find something positive or something that we learn, something to take with us that will improve us, not only in the livestock show ring, but also as we evolve into trying to be the best people that we can be on all levels. And so I think that if we would let the negative go, whether it was placing at the show or you and a family or someone that don't get along with, how to run in, all the things that happen at shows. And I mean, we know the list of them, the drama that happens at shows on all things. If we could just let that stuff go and then find what we learned, what was positive about the experience, or things that we can improve on, I think that's time much, much, much better served. And not only for you in terms of trying to be more competitive in the stock show ring, but it is better for your sanity. It is better for your blood pressure. It is better for your kids and just the whole environment.
No, and this is coming, and Ryan's openly admitting how competitive he is, and I'm there with him. I want to win. I thrive on competition, and I think people that are that ultra competitive, and most of us in the stock show industry are. I mean, it's a very high percentage. I think it's a little harder for us to let some of those things go sometimes. But
no doubt it is. I cannot tell you the number of times I have watched one of my kids' show or an animal show and it did not go the way I thought it should or the way I expected it to. And the people that are close to me know I'm not going to throw a fit. I'm not going to whatever. I'm going to walk outside and I'm going to take about 3 minutes to collect myself before I go anywhere else. And I'm not talking at it like a jackpot show. I'm talking when the chips are down at a major show and this is a big thing. I let all the little jackpot stuff roll off pretty much. But like when it's a big deal and this has been a year in the making and it doesn't go according to plans, I literally find the first exit, walk outside, take about 3 minutes. And nobody that knows me wants to go anywhere near me till I have made the decision that I am okay and I can go back into that barn. And you're saying, well, that's not letting it go. That is my version of letting it go because I don't want to be around anybody. It's not like I have a fit, but I have to just decompress and get my mindset because most of the times when this has happened, we got other steers to show or we got another one to go to. You can't dwell on it because if you stay wrapped up in that one thing not going right, the rest of it won't go right either. And so that's how I personally handle it. And I know other people do other things, but I say this a lot too when I'm judging. I want everybody to remember that whether you cause a scene at the show because your kid, your calf, your goat, whatever, didn't win, or you go put something on social media about how you got screwed, or you're talking to someone there at the show about it's bullshit and we should have won and that pig sucks and yada, yada, yada. Just remember this. All of those things that I just talked about, how would you feel if it was your kid that had won and you saw any of those activities happening when it was your kid that won and they were in their moment that they deserved and there are other people either talking trash, putting stuff on the internet and social media, or causing a scene at the show and taking away from that child and that family's moment. So always put yourself in the other person's shoes. And I don't think anybody that's ever accomplished something at a stock show wants anyone to detract from that kid or that family's moment. So we have to remember that when it doesn't go our way.
No, I think that's so true. And especially when a child may see it on social media or may hear it, that's what gets me. Adults are big boys. They'll take care of it. They can handle it. And it is, Ryan, I am much better. As many shows as I have gone to and go to, and as many as you've been through, if we spent that much time dwelling on when we got beat at a given show, I don't think we'd be able to accomplish anything else.
No, because you just get wrapped up in it.
Yeah, you have to let it go.
You can obsess and get wrapped up in it, and then you're just spinning your wheels and you're not going anywhere, because even when I get beat and I think it's wrong or not right, and for a variety and multiple reasons, I still have to be that person that runs it through my head. Okay, so this happened. Maybe it's not right. Maybe I don't agree with it. But what can I do to prevent it the next time? So that is another version to me of letting it go. Me yelling, screaming, and kicking rocks is going to do nothing. But me thinking about angles and ways to improve and ways for this not to happen next time, whether it's a showman problem, an animal problem, political problem, whatever it is, that's how I choose to focus that energy that gets pent up, because it's going to be there regardless. And you can have negative energy, or you can try to turn it into a positive energy. And so I try, and I'm not always successful. I'm going to be honest. But I try very hard to channel that into, okay, how do I make this not happen the next time? What can I do? What have I learned? What do I need to do for the next go round?
That makes, and I think everybody redirects, just like you're redirecting that negative into just thinking through what can you do. I think that's great. Everybody's going to cope with it different. Find whatever way. If you need to walk outside, like Ryan says, he'll go take 3 minutes and walk outside. Everybody has a different way of coping with it. And sometimes over your lifetime, that's going to change and evolve. But we need to find that way, and we need to get through it. And life is too short. It really, really is. You hear that and you think, well, what are they talking about? I've come to the realization that it absolutely is. And looking from my life experiences and in hindsight, I'm very happy with where I'm at in life, and everything's going. I've got a great family. Everything's going well. But there could have been changes if I would have been able to take the perspective that Ryan and I are discussing right now and apply that to everything in my life from an earlier age. I would have had and have more quality of life right now.
People don't think I'm mellow now. You have no idea how much more mellow I am than what I mean. Like, the people that have known me my whole life, they're like, oh yeah, he's way more laid back now. And so I understand what you're saying there. And this isn't just limited to stock shows. It's in your career, it's in your personal life, in your friendships, in your family. We just got to be, especially now when everything you see is like divisive, divided, none of us are on the same page, all this other stuff. We got to be a little more tolerant. We got to focus our energy a little better. But I think the best thing about stock shows to me is I know in other industries this happens too, but like you can go to a stock show anywhere, and yeah, not everybody loves each other, and we're not all holding hands and singing Kumbaya and roasting marshmallows on a campfire. But for the most part, we are not divided or divisive, and we're all there with our own purpose, but also a bigger purpose of making this industry be as good as it can be, because we know it has to continue to survive and thrive. And the only way to do that is to stay positive, to stay moving forward, to evolve, change, make things better. That's the purpose of this podcast. It's the purpose of the association. Everything has to evolve and change, or it'll go extinct and die. It's just how it is. You cannot stay the same forever. And I think that this industry has got to come to that wake-up call in a lot of ways, that we have got to change some of the things that we've done for years and years and years, just because that's what we did. There are ways to make it better. There are ways to ensure a better experience for everyone at all livestock shows. And that's what we've got to do. And we've got to focus those energies on that. And I think that from the kid's standpoint, especially, I think and like, this is going to get some hate mail, and that's okay, because I'm a big boy. But I'm talking like 0.0000001% of any of the things that have ever happened at a livestock show that were negative, bad, that don't need to happen again, was a kid directly involved or the cause of it. It's more the adults than anything else.
99% of the time.
Yeah, that's what I said. 99% of the time. And I'm not saying all the time, but so if the adults could just focus on channeling their energy and their drive from when negative things happen into let's do this a different way, let's try to make this better, let's still make sure that we realize that the kids are the most important, the animals are just a vehicle or a vessel to make them the best that they can be. And again, I'm not being a hypocrite. I get mad when I get beat at shows. I'm not. Everybody that knows me knows that. I will admit it. I do not let it show, or I try very hard for it not to show. Because
you don't let that drag you down for days and not allow you to be productive doing other things.
Yeah.
That just wouldn't work, period.
Yeah. And I think there is too much of that. And I think that needs to change. And just for your own personal mental health, it will help too.
No, I agree. I'm gonna take it on a personal direction just a little bit. And this is so right up you, Ryan, as far as being able to give some examples as well. And I think just to better our life and in letting it go, let the negative go, focus on the positive. It's easy for me to say, but it's been very difficult in my life to do on a personal note. If I make a mistake, I still am going to dwell on it. When I have my kid out there showing, they do something that was just wrong. I would rather they felt bad about it and thought about how they're going to correct it rather than me have to say something. Or you're playing a sport and they do something wrong and they take it out on themselves. Or a kid in a judging contest has a bad day and they actually show that, they have some emotion, not just blowing it off. I'm not saying make a mistake and blow it off because I want you to take personal responsibility. But in the bigger picture, if it's something that you had no control over necessarily, or it was a decision a judge made and it just is what it is, that we have to let go. If you find your way to cope and let go. I'm going to go into the personal side maybe more than what I feel comfortable with in general. But when you venture out of the mainstream and take action on something way outside the box, you're going to draw attention from those that want to be critical. I have done different things in my lifetime, different business ventures. And I can tell you, I have the biggest problem letting it go when I make a mistake. I've done better over my lifetime letting it go when we go to a show, just like we're talking about, and it doesn't come out the way you want. Much better. I'm very guilty. I would get upset just like Ryan's saying and find a way to cope with it. But each year it gets better and better. And I realize my quality of life and anxiety level, I have to do that to be able to continue doing what we do. But there are 3 businesses that I got into from a very young age, starting in grad school all the way through just a few years ago. In each of those 3 businesses, I drew a lot of criticism, a lot of negative. The first one in grad school, I decided to take a wild cat from Africa called a serval, breed it to a domestic cat, and come up with some high-end pet that nobody else had that I could charge a significant price for and hopefully help finance some other things that I want to do in life. Can you imagine, Ryan, what those livestock people around me thought how crazy I was?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you go raise cats? Why would you do that? Why not raise pigs or sheep or something else?
Yeah, I'm sure that you got the most questions.
Oh, it was wild. But in hindsight, that project became wildly successful, and it's allowed us to focus on and go do other things. When I bought Kelly Meat Goats out many years ago, we took one of the most elite goat herds out of Texas, brought them to Illinois before there were even enough people in the north that were wanting to show goats. And by doing that and taking that risk, in excess of $1 million to get those up here, put them in the north where it just wasn't something that was mainstream yet. But all of a sudden, when we bring them up here and focus on making them look like good livestock, it becomes very popular up here, and it has gone extremely, extremely well for us. I think it's good. But again, just like when I jumped into the cat breeding operation or that idea, it was enough different that there was a lot of criticism. The positive, I guess the point I'm trying to make, I never allowed any of that criticism to weigh me down and slow me down or take up any time in my mind, and I would take that time and redirect and focus on those things that had to be done to make it successful. And if I was confident enough that this was going to work, none of those things bothered me whatsoever. Similar situation, Ryan, when you hear about Ryan calls them the vampire Angus that we brought up from Argentina.
That's because they don't show up in photos to the gay.
They don't. Well,
for those of y'all that don't know this, vampires cannot see a reflection in a mirror, therefore their pictures can't be taken of them. This is the same thing with Dale's Anguses.
Well, 4 years into the project, we finally have live calves on the ground here in the United States. And again, when people heard that my family was doing this, or Holly and I and our manager Craig took off on this venture, again, it was crazy. Usually we just send our genetics from the United States to Argentina. But because they did have our genetics and they did put different selection pressures for many, many generations on those, they've taken some base U.S. genetics, some Scottish genetics, and they've created kind of a different creature that I found very appealing. So we found a way to get them out of that country and up into Canada and eventually down into the United States. And again, that drew a lot of criticism. There was nothing easy about it. And if I would have stopped when somebody said, well, that's crazy, we would never have accomplished anything that I've been successful in within businesses. If I would have stopped the first time or the second or the 10th time somebody told me that was crazy, I would have had no success in business. And I don't go looking, Ryan. Ryan, kind of like you did not decide one day I want to be gay. I'm sure of it. I just know you didn't decide that. Even though you had that coming out time period, you were born as you are. I promise you, I did not go out looking for something way out there odd. I looked for an opportunity and then tried to find a path to meet that opportunity. And more times than not, for some reason, it's taking a much different path than what that traditional path is. If 99% of the population is all doing the same thing, it's pretty hard for you to get ahead of them and get to that end goal first. Does that make sense?
No. Oh yeah. No.
So I don't know. That's my, I say I'm very bad about letting things go. For some reason, when it's not, I guess when it's just me or an idea I have, I can take that a lot better and shove it off. And it almost motivates me to work harder at it, Ryan, to prove them wrong.
No, I mean, I completely and totally understand and identify with that. And I think it was the week that you were gone being prodded by aliens. But I said on that deal, I said, if everyone loves and likes you and all there is are warm fuzzies, and you're probably not doing enough to change the world around you or your world. And because when people try to do great things, it's going to come with criticism and ridicule and all of it, because it's way easier to tear somebody down than to lift somebody up. So I completely understand what you're talking about with, and on when you do these things that ended up being wildly successful, but they were different and no one else had really done it, why you get a lot of criticism that way.
Yeah. So don't, I mean, I guess the point Ryan and I are trying to get across, the better we can be about this and in letting it go. And Ryan, I think you referred to me as Elsa once in a while because I wasn't letting go a few things early on in this podcast.
Yes.
I don't remember. Probably China.
China.
And I'm still there. I can't. I mean, I am.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to let that go. But no, I still get to.
And there's some things maybe we shouldn't let go. Just to be perfectly honest, when it's something that outrageous and affecting so many people from around the world, somebody's got to try to hold them accountable. And I obviously don't have the ability to do so. I can avoid buying Chinese products. I can encourage any listener or anybody I talk to avoid doing those things, but there are things I will never let go, and I can kind of feel it in my chest right now just thinking about it. Right?
I'm sure you can, but and again, I think that you make a very valid point that there are some things in life that you can't let go, and there's a saying that it's I can't even remember exactly how it goes. It's not that I hold grudges; I just don't have to. I don't have to be around people that treat me that way or something. I can't remember exactly. I get that part. And so there are injustices in this world, like he's talking about with China, but there are personal injustices that have been done to each and every one of us that you probably shouldn't let go, because if you do, then you're leaving yourself open for that to happen again. Now, I think those are very few and far between and not the norm, but yeah, there is that part of it. But again, if I had held a grudge on every person that I know, these are not hearsay, facts. I've seen it in screenshots or seen it on message boards or Facebook or, said to me personally, something derogatory about me, then I would be absolutely the most insane person in the history of the world. Because I would be nothing but one gigantic ball of rage and hate.
Just eating up with it.
I mean, there's no way. And I know that my circumstances are much different than the ordinary person, but I think that one of the best things, and one of the things that I really try to get across to kids, is if you are happy with who you are and the path that you're going down and the person that you're trying to become, then it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because you're at peace. And as long as you can be at peace with that, no one's perfect. And we should all continually strive to be better people, to be more successful, all of those things. When you stop learning, you stop living. And so you can learn and you can strive to be better every single day of your life. And that's what I try to do. I don't always accomplish it. I try. But so I'm not saying that when you're at peace with yourself, you don't still want more or want to be better. But if you're like, you know what? This is who I am. I'm doing the best that I possibly can right now. I want to be better. I want more. I want to do better. Then no one else's opinion matters. But you know who?
Stated.
But you know whose opinions will matter? It's those people that support you, that love you, that lift you up, and like that person that you are and that person that you're trying to become. Those people's opinion will matter because they will be there with you. Don't worry about the other people. You can't change them. Everyone's opinion of me is none of my damn business. I'm just telling you. It is not. I am not for everyone, and that is fine. Everyone's opinion of me is none of my business. My opinion of myself and who I want to be, what I stand for, and what I try to accomplish, that is solely my business, and I need to pay attention to it every single day.
Absolutely. So, Ryan, I guess almost in summary, at least from my direction of it, to me, Ryan and I do this to try to provide a better opportunity for youth in the livestock industry. And this topic may seem like, well, how is this related to livestock? I think we need to provide a better path or give at least guidance if we're able to on here's how we can live a better life. Here's how we can have more quality life. And I can promise you, letting go of those things that are really eating at you is going to provide for a better chance for you to find success in your personal life and success in business. By letting that go, just like Ryan talked about, redirecting that energy, if we continue to dwell on the negative, we're never going to accomplish anything. We're not going to be happy in our personal life. We're not going to find that success in business because we're too ate up and our mind, our energy, everything is going in a wrong direction that's going to solve nothing. So this is maybe more just Ryan and I philosophizing on our lives. And maybe you guys, maybe everybody else is vastly different and don't have those issues, but I have had these issues.
I have them.
I've had the most. And when
I have them.
And I have to be honest and transparent. I texted Ryan earlier this morning. I said, Ryan, we might just want to change this topic. And the reason I sent him that text is because I was feeling guilty that I'm not very good at letting go. And I'm probably the worst example there is. But as I reflect back, I have gotten better, and I've completely, when I'm involved,
I think it's all because of me personally.
Maybe, but I guess I settled with the fact I wanted to use those business examples that I ventured way out of the norm in several different business ventures, and I didn't care what anybody said, did, or any of those things, or how negative they were, from the standpoint that I felt very secure and very confident that I could make that work. And I think it probably did inspire me to work a little harder. So I thought, well, here is at least an example. But when I make a mistake, I do have a hard time letting it go, but I'm getting better. That is my goal. Get better.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And again, I know, I mean, like, and you can say this isn't livestock related, but it is, because like I said, and we stated at the beginning, if you'll take that energy and channel it into making your stock better, making you a better showman, your kid a better showman, your family more competitive, then instead of dwelling on, I got beat, then yeah, that is going to make you more competitive in the stock show deal. And that's what we need to do. Every single one of us. No, again, I go back to this thing about if we would all just pay attention to what we're doing and focus on what we need to do and how to improve our stock, our kids, our success in the ring and outside the ring, we would all be so much more successful. Instead of worrying about what that judge did, what that judge said, what so-and-so did, why that one beat me, all this other stuff. Because in the end, that's not going to matter. But the things that you focus on, if you channel that into positivity and trying to make it something where I can do this, I can succeed, I can be better, and I can make change, then you will ultimately be more successful in the stock shows and in the game of life. And that is what this podcast is supposed to be about, is helping families and exhibitors become the best they can be. But I think sometimes we get too short-sighted, and we just, and not always, but like our topics are a lot about just livestock stuff. And but the end goal and the end game, regardless if you stay in the livestock show industry forever, like Dale and I have, is this program is what makes you be a successful person in the game of life, whatever you choose to be passionate about, whether that is livestock shows or, becoming a real estate agent or whatever. It is these things that you learn in this program that help you be a success in whatever sets your heart on fire. So just remember to focus on the positive. Take 10 deep breaths when I need to, because I need to a lot. But and channel that energy into making you and your kiddos more successful.
Excellent, Ryan. You know what it's time for. Brought to you by Pope Joy Livestock Transportation. You can thank the Pope Joy family for these, Ryan.
I thought I liked those people. Now I'm getting a little scared.
Well, I didn't do a lot of research. I have to admit, I printed off some for last week, so I had a whole page full, so I'm just going to pull off of there. The first one comes to us from Rochelle. Hello, Dale and Ryan. I have a question for your podcast. What is your opinion on having a prospect class in a show? At our county show, there was a sheep prospect class, but they did not have an overall winner. When asked why, the response was they did not want to award exhibitors for poor feeding and not making the weight. But in each and every market lamb class, every single exhibitor got a blue ribbon. What are your thoughts on prospect classes?
This is at a county fair?
I'm going to say yes, at our county show.
Yeah. A lot, again, Dell and I came up with the podcast topic when I was driving from the county fair here about the differences in county fairs. And I think it'll be real interesting when we do it. But like most of these Midwest ones that I have done over the past few years have an underweight and an overweight category, especially in pigs, where if they didn't make the minimum weight or they're over the maximum weight, I think it's good for those kids to still get out there and compete. I mean, normally a lot of times they can't make the sale or they can't make it high up in the premium sale, but they still get to go out there and show off their hard work. A lot of these Ohio, especially in Ohio and in the cattle deal, they've got like feeder calf shows or prospect shows and stuff like that. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I think my thing is the more kids that can compete regardless at any level and sharing this experience, the better off we're going to be.
Absolutely. And I understand what Rochelle's saying or those people are saying we don't want to reward people for not. Well, sometimes we just have a younger animal. And I like Ryan. And when I get to travel around the country, and I'm looking forward to that episode, Ryan, the differences in different shows and county shows across the country, because everybody does take a different approach. I really appreciate when I go to the South or out West, because we don't have as much here, even at jackpot shows necessarily, where we have every age, every size presented, and they get to compete against each other. Maybe they have the prospect division, but maybe they come back in for an overall and compete against everything else. But I'm with Ryan. The more opportunities we get to go in the ring, the better. And I get it. There's traditions in different parts of the country, and those probably aren't going to change anytime soon. And I'm not trying to reward, but if it's an underfed animal, it's probably not going to do very well anyway.
Yeah. Well,
so Rochelle, I hope that kind of answers things for you. The next one, Ryan, it always starts off, you're best to leave my name off of this one. Or name best left off.
Great.
Okay, I'm part of the 4-H swine crew at our county fair. The two main guys in charge are breeders in the community. They are ones who select our judges. The past couple of years, the judges have either personal friends or roommates from college of the superintendents that are judging the show. These families that are winning the show the last few years show hogs from the superintendents. What is a proper procedure to make change, and who selects judges in the future, or how do I bring this point to attention without sounding like it's a junior program, right?
Mm-hmm, I'm assuming.
Okay, without sounding like a bad person, we'll say.
Okay. Well, that's going to vary from county to county, because most people have fair boards, and if you're not on that fair board, then you probably don't get a lot of say in changing policy, like who selects the judges or how they're selected and stuff like that. So if that's one of those county fairs where it's either, like she's saying, the superintendent picks it, you're going to have to go to that fair board and explain your side of it, how it looks. And again, I wouldn't go with the theory, if this is what you do, you're going to go to the fair board members and say, just whatever. I wouldn't go as I lost. I would say this is the perception. The superintendent sold the hogs that won. He picks the judge. And whether we want to admit it or not, and I deal with this every day in life, perception is greater than reality. Maybe those were the best hogs, but there's still the perception that it wasn't completely on the up and up. And so you have to find out, regardless of what it is, who is in charge of making the policy decisions on who contacts the judges, how the judges selected, all that. If it's a fair board, you got to go to fair board members, and you got to go to multiple ones and plead your case. If it is like individual species committees, then that's what you're going to have to do. You got to find out who has the power to make change. And once you find out who has the power to make change, you got to go plead your case to them.
And the key word there is perception.
Right. And the one other little tidbit I'm going to add here, it's going to be a lot more well received if number one, you're calm and you don't sound like it's sour grapes and you don't sound like you're bitching because you lost. And number two, if you can get multiple people to go with you.
Well answered, Ryan. I agree completely. And I can't stress enough, take that approach at perception, because guess what? Sometimes in some county fairs across the country, maybe there's only one or two people that have some experience or background in that species. And thankfully they volunteered to step up and do some of these things. And it is more times than not, maybe they are selling animals and maybe they're selling better animals. So right, wrong, or indifferent, the perception's not good. It may not be something that's I guess wrong by nature that the best ones are still winning. It just doesn't look good. So take that approach. Shelby has a third question. Our third question comes from Shelby. What are your opinions on showing market cattle by hip height? Our county fair sorts them into divisions this way, but it seems we're definitely in the minority on that. If it's appropriate way to sort cattle, why don't more shows do it? And if not, what would be the best reason to present to our fair board and encourage them to move away from it?
The best reason to move away from it is because that only happened in the 1920s.
No, I think we still had it in the 80s at Illinois State Fair.
Oh, it's a terrible idea. It is an absolutely awful idea. It makes zero sense because you can have one that's 2 feet taller than another one and they weigh the same because one's tall and thin and the other one's short and stout. It's an awful idea. And also, it is not a scale. People are going to be like, oh, scales aren't accurate either. Tell you what, there is way less room for error in a scale than there is a human being operating a hip height stick. Okay?
I think we hit a sensitive button here.
No, it's just true. I never got screwed over by a hip height, but I just think it's antiquated, dumb, and leaves human error happens in everything, but that is just bad idea. Bad, terrible idea. Terrible.
Shelby, I'm assuming it's something that was in place
in the 1920s, and those people are still on the fair board, and they don't want to change.
The 1920s, they were not measuring hip height. I'm sure of that.
It wouldn't take very much because they were really short.
They were. Okay, so Shelby, again, I think if you think it needs to change, I think just like Ryan answered the last question, present it in a manner that this maybe isn't current. And maybe
I would also bring up the fact that there's too much room for human error, and it's not current. There's too much room for human error, and it is a nightmare. I've sorted several, a handful of shows that way. It is a nightmare as a sorter.
I can't even remember the last show I went to that was that way, Ryan. I really can't.
It was a few years ago, but I've done it. It's a nightmare as a sorter.
Well, that concludes our question and answer. Ryan, thank you. I hope they enjoy this episode. Maybe it wasn't as controversial as some, but hopefully there's some good information.
I like controversy.
Next week. But those of you out there, thank you for listening. Be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear, and join the BTRJLA.